At 22 years old, Kong Min-ho was supposed to die. The doctors said it later. The police reports confirmed it. Even the rescue teams couldn't explain how he survived. His car had crashed through a bridge railing during the worst storm Seoul had seen in years. The vehicle plunged into an icy river. Witnesses watched it disappear beneath the water. Nobody expected anyone inside to make it out alive. Yet somehow, someone pulled him from the wreckage. Someone dragged his unconscious body through freezing water. Someone performed CPR on the riverbank while rain poured from the sky. And then, before the ambulances arrived, she vanished. When Min-ho woke up 3 days later in a hospital bed, he had only one question. Who saved me? Nobody knew. Not the police. Not the doctors. Not the witnesses. No one. The only clue was a silver bracelet found beside him in the ambulance. A bracelet engraved with 2 tiny words. Be brave. For 10 years, Kong Min-ho searched for the woman who saved his life. 10 years. The world called him obsessed. His family called him foolish. The media laughed at him, but he never stopped looking because he had made a promise. If he ever found her, he would spend the rest of his life repaying the debt. What he didn't know was this. The woman he was searching for had spent the same 10 years trying to stay hidden. And she had a reason that could destroy everything. 10 years earlier, before the billions, before the headlines, before becoming one of South Korea's youngest CEOs, Kong Min-ho was simply a university student trying to prove himself. His father, Kong Jae-hyun, was already a powerful businessman, founder of one of Korea's fastest-growing construction companies. Successful, respected, demanding. Nothing Min-ho did ever seemed good enough. A perfect exam score? Expected. Winning competitions? Normal. Receiving scholarships? Nothing special. His father always wanted more. You have potential, Jae-hyun often said. The problem is you don't know how to use it. Min-ho spent years trying to earn his approval. Years trying to become the son his father wanted. But nothing seemed enough. On the night everything changed, they had argued again. The argument started over something small. It always did. A business internship. A future career decision. Another disagreement about expectations. By the time Min-ho left the office, the storm had already begun. Rain hammered the city. Thunder shook the sky. Visibility was terrible. His father called after him. Min-ho. But he didn't stop. He was angry, frustrated, tired of never being enough. So he got into his car and drove away. It was the last conversation they would ever have. The accident happened less than 20 minutes later. One moment, Min-ho was crossing a bridge outside the city. The next, his steering wheel stopped responding. At first, he thought he hit standing water. Then he tried braking. Nothing happened. Panic exploded inside him. The vehicle swerved violently. A truck horn screamed somewhere nearby. Headlights flashed. Metal crashed. Glass shattered. And suddenly his car smashed through the bridge railing. The world flipped upside down. Then came the river. The impact felt like hitting concrete. Freezing water flooded the cabin instantly. Min-ho struggled with his seatbelt. His lungs burned. His vision blurred. Darkness closed around him. For a brief moment, he accepted it. This was how he would die. Alone. Cold. Forgotten. Then he heard a voice. A woman. Muffled through the water. Desperate. Determined. Hold on. He couldn't see her. Couldn't move. Couldn't think. But he felt hands grabbing him. Pulling. Fighting. Refusing to let him sink. The last thing he remembered before losing consciousness was a pair of eyes. Dark eyes. Terrified. Yet fearless at the same time. Then everything went black. 3 days later, Min-ho woke up in intensive care. Machines beeped around him. His chest hurt. His entire body felt broken. For several moments, he couldn't remember what happened. Then the memories returned. The bridge. The river. The voice. The woman. Immediately he asked about her. The nurses exchanged confused looks. What woman? The woman who saved me. Nobody knew what he was talking about. According to official reports, rescue teams recovered him from the riverbank. Unconscious. Alone. No witnesses remained when emergency services arrived. No rescuer was found. No statements were taken. Nothing. The police assumed whoever saved him simply left. Most people would have accepted that explanation. Min-ho couldn't. Because he remembered her. Not clearly, but enough. Enough to know she was real. Enough to know he owed her his life. A week later, a detective visited his hospital room. "We found this." He placed a small plastic evidence bag on the table. Inside was a silver bracelet. Simple, worn, ordinary. The detective shrugged. "It was beside you when paramedics arrived." Minho stared at it. Something about it felt important. He turned it over and saw the engraving. "Be brave." The detective smiled. "Probably belongs to your rescuer." That bracelet became the center of a 10-year obsession. Finding her should have been easy. At least that's what Minho believed. The accident received national attention. Television stations covered it. Newspapers reported it. Social media spread the story everywhere. Someone would recognize her. Someone would know something. Weeks passed. Nothing. Months passed. Still nothing. The mystery only deepened. Then tragedy struck. 6 months after the accident, Minho's father suffered a fatal heart attack. Suddenly, everything changed. At 23 years old, Minho inherited responsibility for an entire corporation. Thousands of employees. Massive projects. Enormous expectations. The grieving son became a CEO almost overnight. Most people assumed the search would end there. That success would distract him. That responsibility would consume him. They were wrong. If anything, it intensified, because his father's death taught him something important. Life could disappear without warning. People could vanish before you got the chance to say thank you. And Minho refused to let that happen. Not with the woman who saved him. Over the next decade, Kong Construction transformed into a billion-dollar empire. Minho became famous, then wealthy, then powerful. Magazine covers, business awards, television interviews, public recognition. He achieved everything his father ever wanted. Yet every year, on the anniversary of the accident, he returned to the same river, carrying the same bracelet, searching for the same woman. And every year, he left with nothing. Until the 10th anniversary, the year everything finally changed. Because on that anniversary, someone walked into a small flower shop on the other side of Seoul and unknowingly brought Minho closer to the truth than he had ever been. While Kong Minho spent 10 years searching for a stranger, Seo Yun spent 10 years making sure nobody found her. Every morning, she unlocked the door of a small flower shop tucked between a bakery and a tailor shop in a quiet neighborhood of Seoul. Most people walked past without noticing it. The sign above the entrance was faded. The windows were simple. Nothing about the shop stood out. And Seo Yun preferred it that way. She liked ordinary. Ordinary felt safe. No headlines, no attention, no questions. Just flowers, roses, lilies, tulips, sunflowers. The kind of beauty that asked for nothing in return. At 32 years old, Seo Yun lived a life so quiet most people barely noticed her. She rented a tiny apartment above the flower shop, worked 7 days a week, and spent her evenings caring for her aging mother. From the outside, her life appeared peaceful, simple, normal. But appearances can be deceiving, because hidden inside a wooden box beneath her bed was a newspaper clipping she had kept for 10 years. The headline read, "University Student Miraculously Survives Deadly Bridge Crash." Beneath the headline was a photograph. A young Kong Minho, the man whose life she had saved, the man she had spent 10 years avoiding. Across the city, Minho sat inside the headquarters of Kong Construction. The top floor overlooked the entire Seoul skyline. Glass walls, luxury furnishings, views worth millions. Yet his attention remained fixed on something far less impressive. The silver bracelet. 10 years later, he still carried it everywhere. His assistant, Han Ji-soo, entered the office carrying a stack of documents. The foundation reports are ready. Minho Nodet. Years earlier, he had created a charitable foundation dedicated to emergency rescue workers. Officially, that was its purpose. Unofficially, it served another mission: finding the woman who saved him. The foundation had funded advertisements, television campaigns, reward programs, public announcements, anything that might generate information. Thousands of people came forward. Every one of them was a dead end. Some genuinely believed they had helped. Others simply wanted money. A few wanted fame. None were the woman. Yiso hesitated, then spoke carefully. There's another lead. Minho looked up immediately. His reaction never changed. Even after 10 years. Every lead mattered. Every possibility deserved attention. Jisoo handed him a file. A witness contacted us yesterday. Minho opened it. Inside was a statement from an elderly fisherman. According to the report, he remembered seeing a woman near the accident scene. A woman carrying flowers. A woman who disappeared before police arrived. His heart began racing. Did he identify her? Jisoo shook her head. No. Minho sighet. Another dead end. Or so he thought. Then Jisoo added something unexpected. He remembered one more thing. Minho looked up. The flowers came from a coastal town outside Busan. The room fell silent, because it was the first real clue anyone had uncovered in years. 2 days later, Minho traveled to Busan personally. His board members hated it. His advisors complained. The media questioned it. A billionaire CEO abandoning important meetings to chase a 10-year-old mystery? Most people thought he was crazy. Minho didn't care. He had waited too long to ignore a lead. The coastal town sat beside the sea. Small, quiet, the kind of place tourists rarely visited. As he walked through the narrow streets, something felt different. For the first time in years, hope returned. Several elderly residents remembered the accident. Some remembered hearing about the rescue. Others remembered the news coverage. Eventually, an old florist pointed him toward a retired jewelry maker. If anyone knows that bracelet, she said, it's him. An hour later, Minho found himself inside a tiny workshop overlooking the ocean. The elderly craftsman examined the bracelet carefully. His hands trembled with age. His eyes widened immediately. I made this. Minho froze. What? The old man nodded. I made dozens of these years ago. His pulse quickened. For who? The craftsman smiled sadly. A local woman. Do you remember her name? The old man thought for several moments, then answered, Kim Sun-hee. The name meant nothing to Minho. It was more information than he'd received in years. Then the craftsman said something else. She bought them for her daughter. That evening, Minho located records connected to Kim Sun-hee. The trail was surprisingly short, because Sun-hee had moved away years earlier, to Seoul, along with her daughter. His heart pounded as he studied the file. Could it really be this simple? 10 years of searching, 10 years of questions, and now suddenly a name, an address, a possibility. The following morning, he visited the listed apartment building. But when he arrived, he discovered something unexpected. The family no longer lived there. They had moved several years earlier. Most people would have felt discouraged. Minho felt energized, because for the first time, the mystery was moving. The trail existed. It was real. It was leading somewhere. Then the building manager mentioned something that changed everything. Wait. Minho turned. I remember the daughter. His pulse quickened. What about her? The manager smiled. She worked with flowers. Flowers. The fisherman had mentioned flowers. The accident night. The woman carrying flowers. Suddenly multiple clues connected. For the first time in 10 years, the puzzle pieces started fitting together. Meanwhile, across Seoul, Seo Yun stood behind the counter of her flower shop. The day had been unusually busy. Weddings, birthdays, anniversaries. Customers came and went continuously. By evening, exhaustion settled into her bones. Then her phone rang. Her mother's number. Immediately she answered. Mom. The voice on the other end sounded worried. Someone was asking about us. Seo Yun's stomach tightened. What? A man came by the community center. Her heartbeat accelerated. What did he want? He was asking about the bracelet. Everything inside her froze. For 10 years, she had dreaded this moment. 10 years. And somehow, it had finally happened. Someone had found the trail. Someone was getting close. Very close. Her mother continued speaking. He seemed kind, but Seo Yun wasn't listening anymore, because she already knew who it was. There was only one person in the world still searching for that bracelet. Kang Minho, the man she had saved, the man she never wanted to find her. That night, Seo Yun couldn't sleep. Rain tapped gently against her apartment window. The same sound she remembered from 10 years earlier. The night of the accident. The night everything changed. She closed her eyes, and the memories returned. The storm, the bridge, the crashing vehicle, the freezing water. She remembered seeing the car plunge into the river, remembered people screaming, remembered everyone standing frozen in shock. Nobody moved, nobody jumped, nobody acted, except her. At the time, she hadn't known who was inside, didn't know he would become a billionaire, didn't know he would become famous, didn't know he would spend 10 years searching for her. She only knew someone was drowning, and someone needed help. So she jumped. The decision nearly killed her. For weeks afterward, she suffered nightmares. For months, she struggled with panic attacks. Yet she never regretted it. Not once. What she regretted was staying long enough to see something she was never supposed to see, something that explained why the crash happened, something dangerous, something that made disappearing the safest choice. A knock at her apartment door interrupted her thoughts. Startled, she checked the clock. 11:42 p.m. Too late for customers. Too late for deliveries. Too late for visitors. Slowly, she approached the door and looked through the peephole. The moment she saw who was standing outside, her heart stopped, because after 10 years, Kang Min-ho had finally found her. For several seconds, Seo Yun couldn't breathe. Standing outside her apartment door was the man she had spent 10 years avoiding. Kang Min-ho, older now, more confident, more mature, but unmistakably the same man she had pulled from the river. The same man whose photograph she had secretly kept for a decade. The same man she prayed would never find her. A bouquet of white lilies rested in his hands. For a moment, neither moved, neither spoke. Then Min-ho smiled politely. Not the smile of someone who had found the answer to a 10-year mystery. The smile of a stranger. Good evening. Seo Yun forced herself to remain calm. Can I help you? Min-ho studied her face. Something about her felt familiar. Not recognizable, just familiar. Like a memory sitting just beyond reach. I'm looking for someone. Her heart pounded. Ooh. He carefully removed the bracelet from his pocket. The silver bracelet. The one she thought she'd lost forever. The one she dropped beside the ambulance 10 years ago. The moment she saw it, her chest tightened. I was told this belonged to your family. For a split second, emotion flashed across her face. A split second too long. Min-ho nitist. Immediately, his instincts sharpened. Most people showed curiosity when they saw the bracelet. Seo Yun showed recognition. Real recognition. Dangerous recognition. But just as quickly, she recovered. It belonged to my mother. Min-ho is balskvitskinyet. Finally, progress. What can you tell me about it? Seo Yun hesitated, then answered carefully. Nothing important. The disappointment hit him instantly. 10 years of searching, and still no answers. Yet something felt wrong. She wasn't acting like someone who knew nothing. She was acting like someone hiding something. Over the next week, Min-ho returned to the flower shop repeatedly. Sometimes to buy flowers. Sometimes to ask questions. Sometimes simply because he couldn't stop thinking about her. Officially, he was investigating a lead. Unofficially, he was becoming fascinated. Seo Yun wasn't what he expected. She wasn't impressed by his wealth. Didn't care about his fame. Didn't treat him differently because he was a billionaire. In fact, she often seemed annoyed by his presence. One afternoon, he entered the shop carrying coffee. Seo Yun sighed the moment she saw him. You again? Min-ho smiled. I brought coffee. I didn't ask for coffee. You looked tired yesterday. She narrowed her eyes. Are you always this persistent? Only when I've spent 10 years looking for someone. For a moment, she almost smiled. Almost. And she caught herself. Because the more time they spent together, the harder it became to keep lying. And the more dangerous the truth became. One evening, Min-ho noticed something strange. Seo Yun nearly collapsed while arranging flowers. The incident lasted only seconds. But he saw it. Her hand gripped the counter. Her face turned pale. And for a brief moment, she looked as though she might faint. Then she forced a smile. I'm Fina. Min-ho didn't believe her. Not for a second. The next day, he quietly hired a private investigator. Not to uncover the rescue mystery. To understand Seo Yun. A week later, the report arrived. And what he discovered shocked him. Seo Yun wasn't merely struggling financially. She was drowning. Medical bills, hospital visits, prescription costs, specialist consultations. The documents painted a troubling picture. Then Minho found the diagnosis. His stomach dropped. A rare heart condition. Serious. Potentially fatal. The room suddenly felt smaller. For 10 years, he had imagined his rescuer living a happy life somewhere. Never once had he considered she might be fighting for survival. That evening, he confronted her. The flower shop had already closed. The streets outside were quiet. Only the soft glow of street lights illuminated the room. You should have told me. Seo Yun froze. Immediately she knew. You investigated me. You collapsed. I'm Phoenix. No, you're not. Silence. Heavy silence. The kind that carries years of exhaustion. Finally, Seo Yun looked away. I don't need help. Minho's voice softened. Everyone needs help sometimes. Her eyes filled with emotion. Not because of the illness. Because of the irony. 10 years earlier, she had saved him. Now he wanted to save her. Life had a strange sense of humor. Then she whispered something unexpected. You should stop looking. Minho Frovnet. For who? The woman. The one who saved you. His heart skipped. The way she said it. The sadness in her voice. The guilt. The regret. Every instinct screamed the same conclusion. She knew more than she admitted. Far more. 3 days later, everything changed. Minho received an anonymous package. No return address. No sender information. Nothing. Inside was a flash drive. And a handwritten note. Only 6 words. The crash was not an accident. His blood ran cold. Immediately, he inserted the flash drive into his computer. The screen filled with files. Photographs. Maintenance reports. Insurance documents. Vehicle inspection records. Then, one document caught his attention. A mechanic's report dated 1 day before the accident. His vehicle had undergone maintenance. Routine service. Nothing unusual. Until he reached the final page. A handwritten note. The brake system showed signs of deliberate tampering. Minho stared at the screen. Unable to move. Unable to breathe. Someone had sabotaged his car. Someone wanted him dead. And suddenly, the last 10 years looked very different. Because if the crash wasn't an accident, then the woman who saved him wasn't simply a rescuer. She was the only reason a murder attempt failed. The revelation consumed him. For days, Minho reviewed every detail surrounding the accident. Every report, every witness statement, every newspaper article, every memory. Then he discovered something even more disturbing. Several key records had disappeared. Police files were incomplete. Evidence logs were missing. Witness interviews had been erased. It was as if someone had deliberately cleaned the investigation. Someone powerful. Someone with influence. Someone capable of hiding a murder attempt. That realization terrified him, because it meant the danger might never have ended. Meanwhile, Seo Yun sat alone in her apartment. A photograph rested on the table. The newspaper clipping she'd kept for 10 years. Her fingers traced the image silently. Tears filled her eyes, because she knew exactly what was happening. The truth was catching up. The secret she protected for a decade was finally emerging. And once it surfaced completely, everything would change. Not only for her. For Minho too. Then her phone rang. A number she hadn't seen in years. The moment she answered, the color drained from her face. The voice on the other end spoke calmly. Coldly. Deliberately. You should have stayed hidden. Her heart stopped, because she recognized the voice instantly. The same voice she'd overheard 10 years ago. The same voice connected to the night of the crash. The same voice she had feared for an entire decade. Then came the warning. If you tell him what you saw. A pause. Both of you will die. The line went dead. Seo Yun sat frozen, trembling, terrified, because the past wasn't finished with them. Not even close. And for the first time in 10 years, she realized someone had been watching her too. Seo Yun didn't sleep that night. The warning echoed inside her mind over and over again. If you tell him what you saw, both of you will die. For 10 years, fear had controlled her life. For 10 years, she convinced herself that silence was the safest choice. But things were different now. Minho wasn't a helpless university student anymore. He was one of the most powerful businessmen in South Korea. And yet, the fear remained. because power meant nothing against the wrong enemy. The following evening, Minho arrived at the flower shop after closing. The moment he entered, he knew something was wrong. Seo Yun's eyes were red. Her hands trembled. And for the first time since they met, she looked defeated. "Tell me the truth," he said softly. She stared at him. For a long moment, neither spoke. Then she finally nodded. "I was there." Minho froze. His heartbeat exploded. "What?" "The night of the crash." Tears filled her eyes. "I was there from the beginning." The room fell silent. 10 years. 10 years of searching. 10 years of wondering. And finally, the truth stood before him. Seo Yun slowly sat down. Her voice shook as she began speaking. "I wasn't supposed to be on that bridge." 10 years earlier, she had been returning from Busan after visiting relatives. The storm had delayed her trip. Traffic moved slowly. Visibility was terrible. Then she noticed something strange. A black sedan following Minho's vehicle. At first, she thought nothing of it, until she saw what happened. The sedan accelerated suddenly. Its headlights flashed. Then it deliberately struck Minho's car from behind. Minho's blood ran cold. "What?" Seo Yun nodded. "I saw everything." The impact pushed his vehicle toward the bridge railing. Seconds later, the car crashed through the barrier and plunged into the river. People stopped. People screamed. People panicked. But nobody acted, except her. She remembered jumping into the freezing water. Remembered fighting the current. Remembered pulling him from the sinking vehicle. Then she remembered something else. Something she had never told anyone. After dragging him to shore, she saw the driver of the black sedan. A man standing beneath an umbrella. Watching. Not helping. Watching. As if he wanted to confirm the job was finished. The memory still haunted her. Then Minho asked the question. "Did you see his face?" Seo Yun slowly nodded. And everything changed. The next morning, Minho hired a private security team. Not for himself. For Seo Yun. Because if someone had tried killing him once, and if Seo Yun could identify them, then she was in danger. Real danger. That afternoon, they met with a retired investigator named Han Woo-jin, one of the few people Minho trusted completely. After hearing Seo Yun's testimony, Woo-jin became unusually quiet. Then he asked a single question. "Are you absolutely certain about the face?" Seo Yun nodded. "I'll never forget it." Woo-jin exchanged a look with Minho. A troubling look. The kind that suggested something was very wrong. "What is it?" Minho asked. The investigator hesitated, then opened an old file. Inside was a photograph. The moment Seo Yun saw it, her face turned pale. Her hands started shaking. "No." Minho grabbed the photograph and felt the world tilt beneath him. Because the man in the picture wasn't a stranger. It wasn't a criminal. It wasn't a business rival. It wasn't an enemy. It was someone he knew, someone he trusted, someone who had been beside him for years. His uncle, Kang Seung-go. For several minutes, nobody spoke. Minho stared at the photograph, unable to process it. His uncle? Impossible. After his father's death, Sung-ho had helped manage the company. He attended family gatherings, celebrated birthdays, supported him publicly. How could he be involved? Then old memories started resurfacing. Conversations, arguments, business disputes, moments that once seemed insignificant. Suddenly they looked different, much different. Woo-jin sighed heavily. "There's more." Minho looked up. The investigator opened another file. This was hidden for years. Inside were company documents, financial records, shareholder agreements. Then the truth emerged. Years earlier, Minho's father had secretly changed his will. Instead of leaving control of the company to his brother, he left everything to Minho. If Minho died before inheriting the company, the entire corporation would have passed to Sung-ho. The room became silent, deadly silent. The motive was obvious. The opportunity existed. And now, there was a witness. For 10 years, Sung-ho had believed the only witness remained hidden. Now she was standing beside Minho, alive and dangerous. That night, Seo Yun disappeared. Minho discovered it the next morning. The flower shop was closed. The lights were off. The apartment was empty. No note. No explanation. Nothing. Panic surged through him. Immediately he called her. No answer. Again. No answer. Again. Voicemail. His chest tightened. The feeling was familiar. Bonfedi familia. Because it reminded him of 10 years earlier. The helplessness. The uncertainty. The fear of losing someone important. Then he found an envelope beneath the flower shop door. His name was written across the front. With trembling hands, he opened it. Inside was a letter. The moment he recognized CEO Yun's handwriting, his heart broke. The letter was simple, honest, painful. Minho, if you're reading this, I've already left. I am sorry. I know you'll be angry. But I can't stay. A tear rolled down his cheek. He continued. For 10 years, I stayed hidden because I believed it was the only way to survive. Then I met you again. And for the first time, I wanted something different. His hands trembled. I wanted normal conversations. I wanted coffee after work. I wanted laughter. I wanted a future. His vision blurred. But people around you get hurt. And I refuse to become another reason you suffer. Please stop searching for me. Minho left bitterly. The same request. Again, just like 10 years ago. She still didn't understand. He had never stopped searching. Not once. Why would he stop now? Then he reached the final page. And everything changed. There's one thing I've never told you. The night I saved your life. You saved mine too. Minho Frovnet. He continued reading. A few months before the accident, my mother was diagnosed with cancer. We couldn't afford treatment. We had already given up hope. Then your foundation paid for her surgery. His eyes widened. What? You never knew. It was one of thousands of cases funded anonymously. But because of that donation, my mother lived. Tears filled his eyes. So when I saw your car go into the river, I didn't hesitate, because saving you felt like saving family. The letter ended with 6 words. Thank you for both my lives. For 3 weeks, Minho searched again, just like before. Only this time, the search felt different. 10 years earlier, he searched for a stranger. Now, he searched for someone he loved. The realization came gradually, quietly, then all at once. Somewhere between reading her letter for the 100th time. Somewhere between visiting the empty flower shop. Somewhere between staring at the bracelet every night. He realized the truth. He wasn't searching because he owed her. He was searching because he couldn't imagine life without her. Then a breakthrough finally came. One of his security teams discovered a medical appointment under a different name. A small clinic. A remote coastal town. The same town where the bracelet originated. The same town where this story began. Without hesitation, Minho left immediately. The ocean was calm when he arrived. Unlike the stormy night 10 years earlier, the sea stretched endlessly beneath a golden sunset. Beautiful, peaceful, hopeful. And there, standing beside the water, was Seo Yun. For several moments, neither moved, neither spoke. Then she smiled. A sad smile. The smile of someone who already knew he would come. You found me. Minho left softly. You seriously thought I wouldn't? Tears appeared in her eyes. I hoped you wouldn't. You're a terrible liar. She laughed through her tears. For the first time in weeks, both felt something they hadn't experienced in years. Peace. Then Seo Yun looked toward the ocean. Why did you keep searching? Minho reached into his pocket and removed the bracelet. The silver bracelet. The one that started everything. I thought it was because I owed you. His voice softened. But I was wrong. Seo Yun looked at him. What do you mean? He smiled. It stopped being about gratitude a long time ago. The tears finally escaped, because she understood exactly what he meant. 6 months later, Kong Sung-ho was arrested. The evidence proved overwhelming. Witness testimony, financial records, hidden communications. The truth could no longer stay buried. The scandal shocked the nation. But for Minho, the victory felt secondary, because he had already found what mattered most. 1 year later, the flower shop reopened. Only this time, it occupied a larger location, filled with sunlight, filled with customers, filled with laughter. And every morning, before opening the doors, Seo Yun found fresh flowers waiting on the counter, a habit Minho never abandoned. One evening, as the sun set over Seoul, they walked beside the river where everything began. The river that nearly took his life. The river that brought them together. Minho stopped walking, then gently placed the bracelet in Seo Yun's hand. You should keep it. She smiled. No. What? She closes fingers around it. Keep it. He looked confused. Why? Seo Yun's eyes softened. Because that bracelet spent 10 years helping you find your way back to me. For a moment, neither spoke. Then she added quietly, and I think it finally found where it belongs. Minho smiled. The river flowed peacefully beside them. The city lights shimmered across the water. And for the first time in 10 years, neither of them was searching anymore. Because sometimes the person you're searching for is the one who's been protecting you all along. Now, tell us in the comments. If you were Minho, would you have spent 10 years searching for the person who saved your life? Or would you have accepted that you might never find them? Let us know your answer in the comments below. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss our next unforgettable story. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.